our Monday night conversation. Everything takes a second or two to come up, so thank you for your patience. Hello, everybody coming in on all of your
Sorry.
various platforms. Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Getting situated. We're about to get started momentarily. I pray all is well. Hope you're having a good evening. All right, we're on. Hi, everybody. Please, I think we're on.
Oh, okay, cool. What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
We are
I say
on.
welcome, welcome, welcome.
You said waka waka waka.
Like,
Yeah, like waka waka waka.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Chasing Moore.
Yes.
Chasing Moore.
Hello, everybody. We are here for our second edition of Chasing More. I don't know who Facebook user is, but Facebook user said, "Hey, YouTube," and so we're saying, "Hey, back at you." Everything's moving a little slower tonight. That's good to know as well. Guess we got a lot of things plugged up, but anyway. So
First and foremost, how are you?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
Oh, okay. I'll pause. You go ahead.
No, you go first.
No, ladies first.
No, you go first. I'm being funny now. I'm doing good. I'm tired. You already know.
Mm-hmm.
Last night was a long night.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Your boy is Jacob. He doing me dirt McGirt. But I am grateful.
Yes,
You got up and stayed up with him and let me go to sleep. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We in this together.
Thank you, babe.
I got you.
Good looking out, because your girl was struggling.
I got you.
She was on the struggle. I wasn't feeling well last night, and my friend, my pal, my buddy, my son, my one and only son, decided he wasn't going to sleep. He was not going to sleep, and so
I can't get myself together for some reason.
You feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need some sunglasses or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to it. I don't know what's going on over here.
So how are you?
I'm feeling a whole lot better. I seem to have my voice back and, ready to move forward. So excited about some things. So, yeah.
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 What are you excited about?
Whatever.
One thing.
One thing. One thing I'm excited about. It's really hard to say, and the reason being because typically for my personal life, every year I come up with a mission statement to keep me focused and to keep me motivated and keep me driven on what it is that I want to get accomplished. But going in 2024, 2023, excuse me.
Don't skip a whole
couple of
year.
weeks, I know, right? A couple of weeks ago, it's probably been almost 2 months ago. I was praying about next year and this, that, and the other, and the Lord gave me 2 words: preparation and expansion. Right? With no direction.
Mm.
right? And when they gave me those two words, I'm like, okay, cool. And then for the next couple of days, I was just praying, like, okay, Lord, what am I preparing for? What am I preparing for? And what do expansion look like? And he told me, don't be afraid of the unknown. So it's like,
Yo.
so when I say I'm excited, it's very challenging to say what I'm excited about,
Right.
because I, I kind of don't know.
Right.
But what I do know is, um, from a couple of weeks ago, going into next year, um, just continuous of um, being prepared for what's next is exciting, and whatever is coming to our next is gonna be some level of expansion. Now, I don't know what that expansion may be. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm excited about it because, over the past couple of years, where I've been at, what I've been doing. So the
Yeah.
stage of preparation is coming to a close, the end of next year, in June of next year. As far as that particular space in my life, I'm full time. I'm done with that. So that
Right.
preparation stage, to some degree, is coming to a close. So now it's about the expansion part. So the one thing I'm excited about is, I have to just say right now, I'm excited about the unknown. Like, there's another level of faith that I have to operate and function in,
How
coming up.
hard is that though? To be
Um,
excited about the unknown, to be excited about what you can't conceive of and you can't control.
well, I think for me, and it's because we kind of had this conversation very vaguely talking about a particular subject, um, a couple of days ago,
Mm.
and in the midst of that conversation, I have an answer for that question now.
Okay.
So, being an athlete, right? You practice, weight train, you do all the things necessary to be able to play the game. You know the game is coming, but you don't know exactly how the game is going to go.
Right.
So your confidence doesn't come from having the opportunity to play the game. Your confidence comes from being prepared to play the game. So for me, I'm not concerned about the unknown. I'm more concerned about the preparation part. If I'm listening to what the Holy Spirit is asking me to do, if I'm saying yes to the opportunities that come before me, if I say no to the opportunities that's not for me,
Yeah.
if if I'm doing what the Holy Spirit is directing me to do, like right now, we talked about it the other day, like, the Holy Spirit is directing me to increase my prayer life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And in our prayer life, what we
Yes.
started doing, and this kind of schedule that we talked about in one right now. So I'm not really worried about the unknown, because I'm preparing myself for the unknown. I'm preparing myself to be able to handle the physical and the spiritual opportunities that's going to come our way. So. Uh, I'm not thinking about it, honestly. I'm only concerned about my present. I'm only concerned about right now at this very moment. I believe sometimes, as believers, um, we want all the answers. You
Now.
know what I mean? We want to know everything. God,
Yes.
how's it going to work? And what is
Yes.
going to come? And what is it going to be?
I know I do.
Um, I think oftentimes when we approach what we're asking for, and we approach God with the sense of, I need all the information, it takes us out of the posture of being grateful. It takes us out of the opportunity for our faith to be increased if we're not gifted with faith.
Mm.
So I say all that to say is, don't worry about how it's going to get done. Just have the faith that you know it's going to get done. Don't worry about when you're going to get there. Just know that you're going to get there. And if you focus on being prepared for when opportunity comes, if you focus on what you need to do, to be able to get there. When you get there, you be able to rest in peace. Because oftentimes when we try to manipulate the situation, kind of get there ourselves, we can't rest there because we're like, man, I got this so fast. And for that moment, you thanking God and like, Lord, thank you for this and thank you for that. But there's an unsettledness with it because like now you're like, well, I'm about to lose it. Or when it's too good to be true, like they always say, like if it's too good to be true, then it's probably not true. And let me tell you something, that is false. If it's too good to be true, then it is true. It's good.
It's just good.
It's just good.
Yeah.
It's just good. So, long
your
story
one
short,
I'm glad I
not worried
asked
about
you.
that.
Like
Yeah.
I was not anticipating that you would like minister to my whole heart right now. I was just asking you how you were doing.
Yeah,
But I mean,
I'm
that
here.
was
Being
that's a good
prepared
answer, and it's definitely sitting. It came on and it took a seat. Like I hear you. I hear
yeah,
that.
man. I think that
Ow.
when I first really kind of allowed myself to be engulfed in church life, right? I would always, and even to this day, I still be actually like, the quotes and the things they say in church, like, man, what do that mean? And why do they, what is that? And
Right,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I say that to say this. When I engulf myself in the church culture and going to church regularly and this, that, and the other, I would hear a lot of preachers say, man, if God doesn't do nothing else for me, I'll be satisfied. I'm good, right? And I'm like, man, God must have really been good to satisfy. I'm okay with everything. And I'm like, man, looking at my life, like, I don't know if I ever get there. I don't know. There's too many things I want in life. I want to go. I want to have. But honestly, I understand what they mean now.
Yeah.
Like I understand exactly what that feeling is.
Yeah.
Understand what that faith or that type of faith, um, that altitude of that type of faith.
I think it's a place.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a place of gratitude. Where you,
Yes,
where you,
and that's right.
Yeah, where you're really like able to reflect, to review, um, to take stock, and come to the conclusion that I have things I could complain about. Sure.
Yeah.
There are things I could complain about, but really and truly, like my life is good.
Yeah.
And not that I'm comparing it to this person's or that person's, but when I consider where I could be and what I could be encountering and what life could look like right now, like I don't have anything. The thing I could complain about is minuscule
right.
in comparison.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I get
yeah.
that.
So I came to that place of gratitude a while back, and it's just kind of hit me like, oh, I get it. I understand. And that's why I said, I know what it feels like, and I understand the latitude of faith to be able to make a statement that in such a manner and have a posture in your life with Christ to be able to say that, right? Even when things aren't perfect, even when they are still desires that you have, even when there are things that could possibly derail you if you haven't had some level of experiences with God.
Right.
It's like, God, despite it all, He's good.
He's good.
You know what I mean?
He's really good. And I think it also comes when you think about like what you actually deserve. Like I don't deserve. I don't deserve this goodness. Like I know how messy I've been, how mischievous I've been, and so I don't feel like I deserve this kindness. I don't feel like I deserve this generosity. And feel like I know I don't, but I really recognize and appreciate God's grace in this moment. And I think that's a good segue into
before we get into tonight's topic, right? I just showed you something on Instagram. You didn't really say much, so I want to kind of just take a couple of minutes, just kind of talk about it real quick.
About that.
So what I'm talking about, I went on Instagram right before we came on, and there was a picture from I think it was New York or Paris, somewhere, Fashion Week. and there was a picture of Candace Owens and Yeezy with t-shirts on that says "White Lives Matters." What's your thoughts about that? Because this will be a good segue into the topic, and the reason why is because um, I can't speak for Candace Owens. I'm not. I'm not even going to touch that. She is what she is. She does what she does. But for Yeezy, Kanye West, he is a self-proclaimed leader in our culture. He's a huge influence in our culture,
Huge
in the
influencer.
Black culture. So to some degree, there is a quote unquote leadership essence that comes with that level of influence. So, I mean, we ain't got to go into deep. I just want to kind of see what your thoughts is. What you think?
I think all of God's children are indeed important and relevant. I think um, I think I think messages carry weight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to be considerate of the fact that what you do has it has um, ripple. It has a ripple effect outside of you,
Mm-hmm.
and it can also have long term effects on people that are influenced.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what especially as it pertains to Kanye West, it's really
Right.
about influence, who are influenced um, by what you do and
Mm-hmm.
how you do it.
Right.
And um, I think that Kanye in particular, I think his brand is chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's on brand for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think because even like when you showed me the picture, well, not you didn't show me the picture. I saw the picture
Oh, you did.
and I said, remember I said to you, I said Kanye, and then I went, never mind, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
And then you showed me the picture afterwards. I was like,
Uh,
look at this, and I was like, yeah, 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 because if you know that's what at this point he's selling.
mm-hmm.
Um, I don't even know if I would say he's selling attention. He's crying out for, in my opinion, don't know the man from the outside looking in. Um, like this, everything he does is about garnering attention, creating a situation that is chaotic, and then um, being able to cry victim
Mm-hmm.
after saying or doing something that spawned chaos,
Mm-hmm.
and then turn around and go, well, why are you all being so um, judgmental about it? Well, you did it for the purpose of having people have something to say.
Right. Right.
Um, you did it for the purpose of getting attention and oh, and let me add this. I think he's a genius, but I think with that degree of um, intelligence, there's always a danger of outsmarting yourself.
You think he's a genius?
I think he's a genius. I think he is
Okay.
a
Okay.
brilliant mind, but I think he is in danger of outsmarting himself.
You think he's a genius?
I do.
I think he's a mad scientist. I wouldn't necessarily say a genius. I wouldn't necessarily say a genius, right? Because my experience reading about highly intelligent individuals, they do things that are kind of quirky, kind of awkward, but they understand their decision making and how it affects others, right? and this is why I say he's a mad scientist. Like, I'm not going to go as far as saying genius, and the reason why is because the things that he does is dangerous.
Yes.
Right? So it's difficult for me to say he's a genius when his behavior is maddening. It's maddening. You know what I'm saying? So I would say I'm not saying that he's not intelligent. Obviously, he is.
Obviously,
You
he
know,
is.
obviously there is a uh, high level of talent that supersedes those that's in that industry, that's
Yeah.
in that circle. Genius, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a rapper. I'm not a producer. I'm not in that sphere of music to proclaim his genius. So if that's the case, then yes. But typically, when we say genius, we are putting this individual in a category that in every area, when it comes to any category, they have the knowledge to speak about. So I'll say he's a mad scientist. I'm not gonna say
Okay.
genius because he's not qualified. And
All right.
this is just my opinion, not because I know him, but based upon his behavior. It's challenging me. It would challenge my own truth to call this man a genius.
I can.
You know,
I can.
if I would say, man, this man is a genius when it comes to music.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be very
Narrow.
specific
Yeah.
in when I label
Genius.
his acumen to knowledge and skill set to what that area is. I'm not going to just say he's a genius. I just can't, because the things he does is maddening.
They are maddening, and I
You know,
can't disagree with you there. Terrence said, "I like that, sir."
you know what I mean? Like, look who he's standing beside wearing that shirt. Like, if you don't know who she is, like, she is the walking definition of self-hate when it comes to black people. And you know, this is like right now in the black community, we are at a very pivotal point when it comes to culture, when it comes to reshaping, reframing our community, reshaping, reframing what men look like, reshaping, reframing what women look like, reshaping, reframing what family look like. I mean, what church look like. Like, we are like in a very unique situation, and I only can say that because my longevity for the time that I've been on this earth, and being aware and in tune with social norms or social unknowns. Um, so so to have this, and to have someone with this with such a large platform and can influence so many different communities into speak and act so recklessly, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill for me to swallow. It's a hard pill for me to allow myself to experience his uniqueness, his gift, right? Because if I was to buy his music or his clothes or his shoes, I'm feeding the madness to be able to do the things that he's doing.
And I think you make a phenomenal point. Um, I don't know that we are fully, or that we fully recognize this really pivotal point
No,
that we're in.
no.
That there has been a season where, in terms of those who are in leadership in our community,
Mm-hmm.
and speaking about our community because
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're familiar with,
Right.
um, where there has been, I think, a desire to have authority without responsibility. And I think that that's sort of what you see
Mm-hmm.
in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I want say, but I'm not necessarily going to be held accountable
Right.
for what I say,
Right.
for what I do. And when I am held accountable, then um, then I'm a victim of you judging me,
Right, right,
or
right,
you holding me to some
right,
standard that's impossible to
right.
meet. And I just feel like that is, I feel like that's where we are holistically, like that around a lot of places, a lot of avenues. We're in that.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say this too as well. Um, and this was a large talking point a couple of years ago, is that communities are waiting for a leader,
Mm.
right? Someone to speak up for everyone, someone to be the one that gives our community direction. And like another Martin, Dr. King, or another Malcolm X, or so on and so on, other Black leaders, looking for some that major voice. But with all the information that is available, with social media, um, that's available, to sit on the sidelines to wait for a leader to represent the majority of the Black community, again, just because of what we're familiar with, um, you will get things like this, right? I believe the leader of the Black community is the Black community. That's my opinion. My opinion is that we have to be the ones to say, no, this is un this does not represent what we think and how we view ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we are excluding another community. It just means that we need to take responsibility for where we at and where we need to go and where we're trying to go. And there is a lot of blame to go around. Um, but I don't want to really get into that. I really just want to kind of focus on the leadership aspect. A lot of times, like, we want the men should stand up and da 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 represent, and da 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 da, and the women's like, we can represent ourselves, we can stand. No, we need to come together.
So you just said something I found.
We need to come together as a community and allow different perspectives of our community to be represented as a, not just a race, but a community of people, right? Because we come in so many different shades, and we view ourselves in so many different avenues. But until we just say, we're going to come together as a community and do what's best for our community, and have dialogue and continue to talk about it and say, okay, we agree that reparations is necessary. And I just don't mean the financial part, but I mean reparations mean as, we need to hold those who are in power to help restore our community, right? Not holding us prisoners to what it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, we have to demand that. You know what I mean? Like, and what I mean by that. So what I mean by that, those who have kids need to be more involved in their kids' education.
Well, wait a minute.
You understand what I'm saying?
Wait a minute.
Those who are okay. Because a lot of times we bring up problems without no solution. So I don't want to be one of those people to say this is a problem. This is a problem with no solutions.
I know.
Right?
But wait a minute.
Because I'm just, this all goes into leadership.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
But buddy, you've hit on, and then James Jacobs hit on something too. Hey James,
what's up, bro?
And everybody else coming in, say hi so we can say hi back at you. There's just a lot. There's a lot that you hit on, and one of the things you said is this is a result of us waiting for a leader, and I don't think that is quote unquote Black community specific. I think that is a holistic truth. That we're all looking for this, looking for someone to say this is the way we ought to go,
right,
as a group.
Hold up, before you go on, I'm not going to talk too long, but that's absolutely true because it's biblical. And we can go to the book of, I can prove it in the book of Revelations, but go ahead.
Okay.
But it's true.
But yeah, so there's that seems to be the cause for a lot of what we see societally right now.
Mhm.
A lot of the issues
Mhm.
are stem from that one thing, waiting for a leader.
Mhm.
And then James Jacobs said, someone who won't sell out. And I think that that's part of it in multiple communities, be it the Black community, be it the Christian community, um, that a lot of us, a lot in a lot of those areas, we're waiting for someone to lead us so that we can say, well, I don't know if I'll say if I'll. I almost feel like sometimes it's like we're trying to pass the buck.
No, no, we're not. But yeah,
Because is it
from a spiritual
is it that
standpoint,
we don't have leadership, or is it that we aren't taking responsibility?
well, there's a combination of both, right? Because we all look at leadership differently based upon our preference. But it's absolutely true. We are there. God put something in us to desire leadership,
Okay.
right? The Bible reference the church goers or the congregation as sheep.
Right. This is
You
true.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's always this desire to be led. Even the highest leader needs leadership, right? Um, but when you talk about when you get into the spiritual aspect, not everyone doesn't worship the same God. So that's why I spoke about community and not just say we all need God, which is
Right.
obviously, but you know, like I'm always gonna talk about both sides because
Right.
not everyone is Christians,
Right.
right? And not everyone believe in Jesus, but we're talking about from a community standpoint, from a human society standpoint. You know, we have this desire to be led.
Okay.
We have this desire for a leader or leadership.
And that I think is very true. But I think we put a lot of expectation on leaders and
And they should.
not enough on ourselves. Like I think yes, there needs to be good leadership, and yes, there needs to be people who are standing upright
Mm-hmm.
and doing things the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have a responsibility ourselves to, once we know, I think leaders, the role of leaders is to tell is to teach us, right? Teach us how we ought to do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then once we have that information,
That's the
we
caveat right
have
there.
the responsibility of doing that thing, right?
Okay. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with
So
you, but everyone's at a different place. And that's what I'm saying. Like, far as when it comes to leadership, or someone looking for a leader, they're looking for the leader that fits them for where they at.
where they are.
Where they are in life, what stage they are. You know what I mean? So that, and I believe that's the challenging part for us. People allowing themselves to be led, or people allowing themselves to be told what direction to go because if it doesn't feel right, or they allow themselves to be influenced by so many different narratives, they're confused and they come up with what fits them for the moment.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
You feel what you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you said, part of leadership is to teach, obviously.
Right. In the meantime,
some people don't know when they don't know.
James Jacobs, can you explain to me what you mean? I don't believe the release process is ready. Explain to me what you mean by that. But I'm sorry, finishing what you're saying. Yeah. So and also I also want everyone who's on to sort of chime in. When you talk about leadership, what do you who do you deem a leader in your specific realm? What is it about a person that makes them a leader, right? Like, I'm not talking about a specific person when I say who do you deem a leader, but what is it about those specific people that you say, you know what, this person is a leader. And so like we look at, for example, Kanye, and what is it about him that makes him a leader?
Right.
Why is it that he has so much say in our community? Why is it that he has so much say amongst well, among people in general? It didn't really even matter what black, white, either. Why does he have so much say? What is it about him that makes him a leader?
I mean, I can guess, but a lot of people don't know what the qualifications are when it comes to leadership.
Mm.
Right? A lot of times they look at the things from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
or the things that they possess, material things.
Okay.
Like if they have money, money equals power, power equals influence.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
that doesn't, just because you have money and you have power, you have influence, doesn't make you a leader.
That's 100%.
That doesn't make you a leader.
100%. Right.
Or when we talk about good leadership, okay, let's make that distinction between good leadership and poor leadership. That doesn't make you a good. That having money, influence, and power does not qualify you to be branded a good leader. It will brand you as a person that's very fortunate. And those who are not Christians, you would say lucky. So it makes you very fortunate. When you talk about a good leader, first and foremost, a good leader serves.
Mm.
That's number one. Number one. If you're not serving, you can't be a leader.
Mm.
That's just the bottom line. When it comes to a good leader shares his or her authority.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good leader. A good leader, as the Bible says, a good shepherd never leaves not even one behind. He goes back for that one. We're talking about a good leader. A good leader will affirm those who are around them. I mean, we're talking about good leadership. We ain't just talking about poor leadership. We're talking about good leadership. And the most important thing, something that you said earlier, a good leader models good behavior that earns the respect of the followers.
Okay. All that being said,
Mm-hmm.
I sound like Skip when I did that. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
And it annoys me to no end when he does it. If you all don't know who I'm talking about, Skip is on the sports commentator on, what is it? Undisputed. And before he says anything, he goes, and it's like, yo, just say what you want to say. Why you gotta breathe all heavy? But anyway, I do understand what you're saying. However,
Mm-hmm.
we have people who we deem leaders
Mm-hmm.
across spectrums,
Mm-hmm.
simply because of their money, power, fame,
Mm-hmm.
their influence,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't tell me that. Well, I mean, I could name quite a few people. They're not leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
They what you described, they don't serve.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't sharing their power. What else did you say?
They serve, they share their authority, they affirm those that's around them.
Not doing any of those things, right? But yet we look up to these people, mm-hmm. and are almost crushed, mm-hmm. when they fall short.
Right.
How do we end that cycle? Because that's ridiculous. Because this person is not a leader.
Right. Well, it goes back to what you said earlier. There's a personal responsibility that comes with choosing who you're going to follow. Right. A lot of times when you talk about people that select poor leadership, a lot of times it's about what they can gain from that person. I'll follow that person because I can get
because I can gain something
from it. Right. So it's not about being led; it's about being connected. You understand what I'm saying? So when you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you want. you don't know what type of leader you need.
Mm.
So when something you hear or see that um, fulfills a desire or feed or plant that seed of desire, you're going to follow that person. So that's why a lot of these online, you know, I'll show you how to make some money real quick. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're being led by those people because it's feeding that need. But if they really took a step back, like I, you know, looking at a plan long term rather than a short game, people that's looking that has a long term vision or a long term plan, those are the ones that's looking for leadership. Those who have the idea of getting it quick, they ain't looking for leaders. They're not looking for leadership. They're looking for someone,
Results.
exactly, someone that can
Immediate
partner up with.
results. Right.
Right. Say,
Right.
let me just connect with this person, get what I need, and move on. So it is about the individual versus,
Do you think leadership is needed? Do you think that it's an essential thing, or do you think that it's just a concept that is outdated?
let me ask you this.
Yeah, I'm listening.
um, if we go back to Genesis and we go all the way through the book and go to Revelations, that answers your question. Leadership was needed at the beginning, and leadership will be needed at the end. So it's never outdated. Leadership can never be outdated. Why? Because no one knows it all. No one has the answers. You ain't got the answer, Sway. You ain't got.
See,
And he said,
influence.
and Sway have the answer. He just said it the other day. So no, leadership is not outdated. I you know, leadership can be um, uh, titled in many different ways.
Right.
Right. The concept of mentorship. Right. Having a mentor, that's not something that really came into my vocabulary until later in life, and I'm like, oh, this is what I've been missing. Right. You know, that's a form of leadership. Um, Two people coming together, you know, to become one. Someone has to be the visionary. Someone has to be the one to say, this is the direction we're going. This is how we're going to get there. That's leadership. You know, so no, leadership is never, I believe, based upon what I what I know and the multitude of books that I've read, um, leadership is a necessary part of the existence of one's life.
Okay, so y'all tell me what you're thinking, because I see you out there. Y'all talk to us a little bit. What do you agree with what James just said? I was about to call you Jacob.
Lord have mercy.
Do you agree with what James just said? Is leadership an essential part of your life? And if it is, then what are you looking for in a leader? What does a leader need to have in order to lead you? And I think that this is an important question because there are so many people that have quote unquote leadership roles in our lives that should not have them. Should not have them. So what are the qualities that you say if do you agree with James? Is leadership uh, essential? Is it essential that there is a leader in your life? And when and if your answer is yes, then what are you looking for? What gives a person the right, the authority, the privilege to be your leader? What is it that you're looking for? And like I said, I think we have to stop. I think if we put that in the right perspective, we stop putting so much pressure on people who are not leaders. Like you're not a leader. And once you realize that, like influencers are not leaders.
I can't completely agree with that because I believe everyone is leaders, right? Because number one, first you got to lead yourself. That The question is, are you a quality leader? That's the question, because when we talk about influencers, you are you may not be appointed into a leadership role, but you are a leader. Why?
Okay.
Because you are given directions. A lot of times influencers, at some point, they will begin to sell something, or you know what I mean, or this how I did this, how I did that. So when you are a person that gives instructions, quote unquote teaching, uh, you are a leader. First of all, let's define leadership. I'm gonna define it very simple.
Okay.
A person that has at minimum one follower, you are a leader. That makes you a leader. Period. When you have at least one person following behind you, you are a leader. Period. Plain and simple.
So James
He
Jacobs,
that puts you in a leadership position.
I'm tripping real hard right now. So James Jacobs says that yes, leaders are necessary, and um, Sister Tanya, she said, for me, they must show love and be sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're going to be a person that leads, that instructs, that provides guidance, that it has to be a person who shows love and is sensitive to the needs of those who are following them. And I think that that's I agree with you wholeheartedly, right? Because I think that power can be um, what's the word I'm looking for? I think power can taint your intent.
Absolutely, power is absolute corruption. I think
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
yeah. I think
Absolute power, absolute corruption.
I think power can taint your intent. That you can intend to have, um, you can intend to have good intentions. You can intend to do things well, intend to be a good leader, intend um, uh, to to lead with compassion, but get in that position and get in that place of influence and absolutely uh, not consider how you lead or the people that you're leading. What are you shaking your head for?
No, just when that word intent is just a trigger word for me when we're talking about um, people behavior,
Okay,
right?
why?
Because intent only matters to the person that's taking action. It doesn't matter to the person that's receiving the results of your actions. So if you are in leadership, it's not about what you say or what you intend to do, it's about what you actually do
Right.
that will either speak to those who are following you, whether you good for them or not. I'm like, your intent could be whatever it is, but if it harm me, what do what do that mean to me if I'm harmed by your intent? I'm just saying.
I mean, you make a
So
valid
leadership is a
point.
very,
Yeah.
very challenging and very difficult position to be in. You
Terry,
know,
Terry,
I'm just being honest with you.
Terry
And a
said he
lot of
taught you everything you know.
and a lot of leaders don't consider that. A lot of leaders don't think about that because they caveat to the side of, well, my intentions are good, and I don't mean no harm, and I'm just trying to do the best I can. Like, this is what I know about leadership. Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It matters, but it don't matter,
It doesn't.
right? It doesn't. It's almost you and I like you know, um, it's kind of funny. We was talking about we was listening to the podcast about um Pastor Tim Ross and his
Yes.
wife when they first got married,
Yes.
and I laughed because their communication when they first got married is very similar to us.
Very
I
similar.
come from a very loud family.
Very loud
I
family.
speak very
He
loudly,
speaks very loudly.
and I had to learn. You'd be like, "Yo, why are you yelling?" I'm like, "Yo,
Why
I'm not
are
yelling." Da, da, da,
you
da.
yelling?
And as a leader in our house, I have to hear you, and I have to learn how to say, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe I am talking loud." And it's not that I'm yelling; it's just I have
Deafening.
right. I have to kind of demonstrate good leadership qualities because my intentions wasn't to yell. my intentions was just to engage in a conversation
Right.
and kind of work through it. So my intentions did not matter in that instance, that I wasn't trying to yell. Only thing that matters is my actions. My actions was I was still yelling.
Right.
Right. So that's why I say about intentions. Like, no, if you're a leader, own it.
Right.
Be a decision maker. If you make the wrong decision, own it. Be like, you know what? I'll get better from it. But I'm not gonna. One
But
of the
what
things.
about people
I'm
who
sorry.
didn't find them? James Jacobs came
Mm.
for you. He said very, very, very loud.
Yes.
Anyway,
Not as much.
he's much better now.
I'm working on it.
Life is
I'm
so
working
much
on
better
it.
because your girl was just
I'm
like,
a very passionate person.
I can't hear
I'm
you.
very
I
passionate.
can't hear you
I'm very
because you're
passionate.
so loud.
I'm
So
very
anyway,
passionate.
so what
Mhm.
about people who didn't intend to become leaders? That they're he said you were using your ROTC voice.
I don't.
What about people who
Mhm.
did not intend to become leaders, right? Circumstances and
Nope.
situations put them in
Nope.
in a place
No.
where they are.
No.
Now, what are you saying no to? What are you saying? I haven't finished the statement.
Go ahead.
No.
No.
What are you thinking?
I didn't say anything. I'm just shaking my head. But I
No
didn't say
to
anything.
what?
I didn't. No, you finished. I didn't interrupt you. I'm just shaking my head. Yes, my body language, because you saying something at the you're speaking was about or was saying something I don't agree with. But go ahead. I didn't say anything.
Okay. So what about people who again didn't intend to be in these leadership positions, but find themselves there and are trying to navigate that and actually find themselves in very, very, very uncomfortable situations because now they're in quote leadership and had no plans on it.
Okay, so let me say this,
Okay.
I have a scripture that I read about 3 years ago that changed my view of leadership, and well, not necessarily my view, my behavior in leadership. But I'm gonna give it to you. But let me first answer that question. Let's not get influenced. Let's not being able to influence others confused with leadership. Right? Because just because you able to influence people does not qualify you to be leaders. So those people that find themselves in a leadership position, as you say, that wasn't their intent. I don't believe that.
Should we hold them?
I believe this is what I believe. Anyone that's in a leadership position, in some shape or form, desire the leadership position. Now, once they get it, their response to the obligations and the responsibility to it may disqualify them. But the desire or if someone find themselves in a leadership position was not a mistake. I've been doing leadership training, leadership development for, I mean, over 18 years.
So
and I have never met someone that just fell into leadership.
Do you think, let's say for example, just because we started here, do you think Kanye West intended to be a leader?
No.
So he buys.
He's an influencer.
He's an influencer, but so let's use he's an influencer, but he has. You said if one person follows you, you're a leader.
Right.
He has thousands of followers. That makes him a leader. So as such,
they're not. So we're using the word follow in reference to.
I'm not talking about social media.
Okay. All right.
I'm talking about that. Just simply follow. He says turn left.
Right.
And they go, okay.
Right.
We're all turning left now. They follow him. So based upon that, not intending to be a leader, but finds himself in this place, do we hold him to the standard of a leader?
Yes. Yeah, and based upon what you're saying, yes, because he has the influence to.
But he didn't have the intent. He had no intent.
Right. He didn't have no intent. But at some point he decided that he wants to be a leader. He took ownership, and let me tell you why. Because there was a pivotal point in his behavior, in his way of doing things, that separate his being able to influence versus being able to lead. Now we would have to go back and trace like
Where that
when
moment
that
was.
moment was. But there was a moment when he decided, like, I don't want to be no influence anymore. I want to be a leader. And we can probably go back to a couple of years, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, when he was on TMZ and he made that comment like slavery was a choice. Like, we could probably say that was a moment where he decided that he wants to be a leader. To make a statement like that wasn't about influence. That was about me coming out, me saying, I'm speaking for those that think like me. I'm gonna be the leader for those who think like me.
Terrence said this is a necessary conversation. I could push back on that a little bit. Push back on what? And go ahead and push back.
Yes, please.
Because we're not gonna be on here much longer.
Right.
But say what you gonna say.
While he's typing, let me give you this scripture. When I read it a few times, and it changed not only how I look at leadership, but my behavior in leadership.
Okay.
My behavior, and it just comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 9. And I'm not just going to give you that text, but I'm going to give you several verses. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, I'm going to start at verse 19. It says, although I am a free man and not anyone's slave, I made myself a slave to everyone in order to win more people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
To the Jews, I became like a Jew to win Jews. Those who are under the law, like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law.
Terrence,
to win those under the law.
I see you explain that a little bit. Go ahead.
Right. So what Paul is saying is that in my leadership position as a leader, I'm going to become whatever I need to become to make sure you get to where you want to go, to get you where you need to be, to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve. When I read that, and I've read it a couple of times, and when I heard it, I adopted that behavior and way of thinking when it comes to leadership. Like, and I lead a lot of people, and those who are, closer to me when it comes to me leading them, if you ask them, there's only certain words or things about my leadership style I want each one of them to say, but my preference is that my experience with them is all different. Right? I would like for all of them to say, James is nice, James listen, James is kind. Right? I would like for each one of the leaders that's underneath of me to say that. But their experience with them, I want it to be different. Why? Because whatever they need me to be, I'm going to caveat my leadership style to what they need to be. Like, one of my leaders don't like when I speak loud, so I speak very low. I speak very calm. And, this leader is not very tall, so I kind of make sure every time I talk to this particular leader, I'm sitting down. 6'4", this individual is probably like 5 feet tall, maybe 5'1", 5'2". Then I have a very masculine leader, so I can speak very aggressively, to that leader, and this leader is very intelligent, so I'm able to practice my verbal skills and use large words and this, that, and the other. And I have other leaders that, when we speak to each other, it's intimidating to them when I look them straight in their eyes when they speak to them. So every now and then when I'm talking to them, I look away because I don't want to I become what they need me to be so I can reach them. Right? So when we're talking about leaders, this is just another application when it comes to having a good leadership style.
But you intended on becoming a leader.
Exactly.
So you adopted all of these practices in order to create, in order to make yourself rather a better version of you and a better leader for each of them.
But I wasn't always a leader. I had to accept being a leader, right? Because like even when I was in high school, I didn't become I didn't get a true taste of leadership until probably my junior year in high school. Right, I got a taste of leadership. Like, oh, okay, I kind of like this.
Okay.
Right, and just kind of accepted it, and then just kind of evolved into everything that I started doing. Is like, okay, where's the leadership opportunity at? Because I was always, to be honest, I was always a follower. You know what I mean? I was always a follower until I made that decision about leadership. And it wasn't about me and being able to influence anyone. It was about the gratification of being responsible. Right. So that's why I say it's hard for me with my experience and what I've read and what I've been taught that someone just fall into leadership. There's a crucial moment in that person's life that they accept the I don't want to say a call, but I'll say the opportunity. I'll say the opportunity to be a leader.
And this is what Terrence is saying. He says, I believe whatever Kanye was or is lacking in his life caused him to try and make it up in what he does as an influencer. And then that is what pushed him into this role of leader.
Right. I mean, because remember, he got married, he became a father, right? He professed to be a Christian. So typically a man that comes to Christ, right? A man that comes to Christ, once they kind of understand the gravity and the responsibility of being a man in Christ, if you wasn't a leader before, that switch is turned on. Now, how you respond to it, how you conduct yourself, is questionable. But I know this for a fact, as someone that reads the Bible, studies the Bible, that as a man, that if you wasn't a leader, that switched, that leadership switch is turned on, and how you navigate that particular leadership style after that, that's a whole different subject for another day. But I promise you, any male that was not saved and came into Christ, they received the desire to be a leader. Because being in Christ as a man, it's called for you to be a leader. It's called for you to be the priest and the head of your household. It's called for you to be responsible for yourself and your conduct. So it's like, as a man coming into Christ, the first thing is it requires of you is to take ownership and leadership of yourself. Then it kind of trickle down to, to your family, your job, So whether you want to be a leader or not, in Christ, you don't, as a man, and I only can speak from a man point of view, there's no option. You have to be a leader. So when we look at Kanye West, like I said, you will probably have to go back and find out where that pivotal moment was when that switch went off, when he went from being an influencer to accepting or gravitating to that leadership role. Because he talks different. You know what I mean?
Terrence pointed out, don't forget he wanted to run for president.
Lord have mercy. Something you just don't. We already had one. No, never mind.
Don't do it.
Never mind.
No, sir. Not gonna do that. We ain't gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Foolish things.
Nope. Not gonna do it. Hush now, hush. I think that leadership. I think the conclusion that we've come to is that leadership is still needed. I think that leadership is still needed, but we are allowing people to lead us who are not qualified to do so. And then when they malfunction in that role, we want to point the finger and blame, instead of saying, you know what, this person is not is not a leader, and therefore I shouldn't be following
them. Let's say it's not that type of leader, because
based upon your definition of a leader, that person is not a leader. They're an influencer, and we should not be following them.
Right. But there,
Terry said he almost joined the foolishness, but he pulled back. Hallelujah. Come
what
on.
you mean?
Talk about Kanye for president and the
Oh,
other one.
oh man. Well, you talk about poor leadership
Hush,
skills.
hush,
I'm just saying.
hush.
Hey, I'm covered by the Fifth Amendment.
He said next time. Next time.
I'm covered by the Fifth Amendment. I'm just saying.
I, okay.
I can run it down. What's under the Fifth
No.
Amendment? There's a lot of things that's under the Fifth Amendment,
And
and one of them is the freedom of speech.
Here comes James Jacobs too. I'm not even gonna put your little statement up there. I'm not showing your little statement. I'll leave it. No, we're not doing this tonight. No, we don't have enough time.
You know what? We have to talk about that next week because I need some believers that follow this man. I need some explaining. I have questions. I need next week, next Monday. I need, if you follow, especially if you're on Facebook, I need you to share next week because we're going to continue this conversation on leadership because I have some questions for those who are.
I don't think we should do that.
I think we should. I think it'll be. I need to know as a Christian. I need to know. I have questions.
Terry said no. He was talking about leadership.
I am not going to attack them. I am not going to call them. I just need them to explain some things to me because I'm just confused. That's all. I'm just confused. That's all. But anyway, as you were saying,
I don't know what I was saying. We need to identify good leaders. I think we are clear on what's not a good leader. I think that's clear. Right. And we have to be careful about who we're following and why that person has say in our lives. I did not get to. James Jacobs said, "Call him because he got questions too."
I got questions.
Did not get to. Oh no, he said, "Call me because I have answers."
Oh, okay.
He got answers
all
to
right.
your questions.
Well, we're gonna figure out how to have people join in, so we can just have conversations. So we can have conversations.
We are not going to have. No, that's cool.
Yes.
We'll figure it out.
We just ask that you don't use profanity. You know, select your words very carefully. That's all. But no, we're gonna let's. I mean, the whole purpose is to have good dialogue.
Dad just came on. What do you mean by personalizing? We're not going to be on here much longer. We fit to go. But
no, we
again,
need that. No, I think it's important, especially for our community.
What are you talking about?
The conversation for next week.
We'll talk about it. We'll figure it.
I'm all about hot topics.
I know you are, but
because I like I said, I just have questions. That's all. I just have questions. You know, I'm not here to call nobody names. I just have questions.
James
that's all.
Jacobs says, "I have answers because I work with them." See, this is why. No,
now, I don't want no one to misrepresent anyone. These questions are for that individual. I don't want them to say those people. No. If you stand flat-footed, 10 toes down, I just have questions. That's all. And if you answer the questions, I'm fine. That's it. Look, anyway,
we'll talk about it. We'll see. That being said, like I said, I think in to surmise, right? Mm-hmm. In summary, there is a need for good leadership. We have a responsibility. If there is one person, according to the right reference here, if there is one person, because I keep wanting to call you Jacob.
I know.
If there is one person following you, then you have a responsibility to serve that one person well and not to get heady about the influence that you have over them, because that's not the role. That's not that's not the responsibility. There is a weight associated with leadership, and it's uncomfortable, and you don't necessarily want to accept it, but it's needful, right? If you're going to be a leader, if you're going to be in a place where you are instructing and providing instruction, then you need to think about, um, yeah, like James Jacobs just said, you need to think about if your yes is real, and if it's not, move out of the way, or clarify, or clarify your role.
See, this is the thing. This is the thing, and I don't want to keep going on.
We gotta go.
I know, but this is the thing about leadership. Like, there is a question. Those who are in the leadership realm, and you probably heard this: are leaders made or are they born? And it's both. It's both. There are leaders that's born, that's appointed by God, and there's people that desire to be a leader, and there's a need for them to learn skills to be able to stand in a leadership position. So when we say good leaders, it all depends on what the person is, what the follower is looking to gain, because there are leaders that are they are criminals, but they have good leadership skills, so they are leading a group of individual to do crime. Now the actions may be bad, but how they execute and how they come up with the plan and lead those individuals is really good, really good. So the question is not so much about, yes, we can put some weight on a leader, but it's, I always try to focus on the follower. Where are you trying to go? What do you want to do? Because even if you're a follower of a criminal, because that's the life you want to live, so you're looking for someone that can help you access and gain the things that you want from a criminal standpoint. If they get those things from that person's standpoint, that makes them a good leader. So it's more about the follower that has to ask the question:
where's this person leading?
Where is this person leading me?
And is this where I want to go?
Right. And far as the responsibility of the person that's in leadership, they obviously, we talked about it earlier, they have to make some decisions too as well about what type of leader they want to be. Because I always, like, me as a person that develops leaders and help people move into the leadership realm, that's all, again, that's one of the things that I've learned in leadership. This is the one question I always ask them: what type of leader you want to be? No, I don't know. Then I say, when you leave out the room, what do you want people to say about you as a leader? Not as a person, as a leader. And when they give me those characteristics, then that's the type of leader that's the type of leader you want to be. Now, are you willing to do the work?
And that's the thing.
You know what I'm
people
saying?
Aren't willing to do the work. They just want the glory.
Exactly.
They want
exactly. So this is why I say some leaders are appointed and some leaders are made.
Tanya said this conversation needs to be a little longer. It's a really good conversation.
I'm just saying.
Thank you for your support. Christina said, good point. You were making good points. Thank you, Christina. And thank you to everybody for hanging out with us tonight. James Jacobs is with me. He said, move out the way.
No,
Jesus is the blueprint. But I do get your point.
Yes,
I get your point. But I'm just going
over. But this is the thing. Everyone doesn't believe in Jesus. That's so.
I understand that.
So,
but the point still is Jesus was a good leader.
It depends on where you.
But I'm talking about the characteristics of a leader. He served.
It depends. I can bring up some arguments from someone that does not believe in Jesus that says Jesus wasn't a good leader.
But if I'm talking about take Jesus, take out his divinity as a man and a leader of people, of men. He was a good leader.
As a Christian, you would say that. But I'm telling you, I have spoken to people that view Jesus as not a good leader. I'm just telling you, its characteristics for them does not suggest that he was a good leader.
I don't know what a leader is.
But again,
Like,
It
I
all
mean, his leadership
it
transcended his
depends on
life.
the follower.
But his leadership
It
transcended his
depends
life.
on the
Okay, I
follower.
get you. I
It
hear you.
depends
I
on the
hear you. I
follower.
hear you. I hear
I'm
you.
just
I hear you.
it's two sides
I
or
hear
two
you.
angles to the conversation when we talk about leadership, because a person with good intentions is always going to say, this is good, but a person with bad intentions may like, I don't want someone that's honest. I want someone that's going to lie and cheat and steal, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get as much as I can. So for me, if you are good at it, oh, you're a good leader. So
I
yeah.
hear you. Again, I heard. I can't
Like I
argue
said, I
that
can.
point. Daddy wants to know how Jacob is. Jacob
Jacob is
is
doing
fine. He's
wonderful,
doing good.
getting tall.
He is getting tall, and he's getting very opinionated.
Yes, and hooping,
Hooping.
playing
Oh,
basketball.
he's playing basketball. I was like,
He's
we
hooping.
come from two different worlds. Hooping means playing basketball in his world. Hooping means preaching in my world. So I'm like, he was preaching. Where was he doing this? We
Not
come
hooping.
we come from two very different worlds. That was made very apparent.
Yes.
That one word meant 5 different things. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Um, we will be back on next Monday at 9 p.m. or thereabout. Again, it always depends upon whether or not Jacob allows us to do that.
But we will be on.
We will be on, so it'll be around. It'll be thereabout.
The goal is always 9 p.m.
The goal will always be 9 p.m. So please like, please share, please come hang out with us. We are in the process of, um, yeah, doing a few things and restructuring a few things, and we want you all to be a part of it. And hang out with us. These conversations are really not necessarily faith based, right? Of course, our faith is going to come with us wherever we go, because wherever we go, we are Christians, but not necessarily faith based. We just want to talk about things that pertain to life. Um, and what we are in pursuit of. And we hope that you will join us in these conversations. Again, every Monday night, we're aiming for 9 p.m., but anytime thereabout. So around 9:15, but we're aiming for 9.
Just say 9 o'clock.
Okay, 9 o'clock.
Okay. Speak it.
Okay, so Jacob is going to be asleep by 8. We're going to be on at 9.
So it may be just one of us starting off.
Oh,
maybe.
That's wisdom.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
I'm a leader. I'm a leader. Look, we chasing more.
We're chasing
more. We definitely appreciate your input. We thank you guys for just being a part of what we're chasing. And, we want to ask you this question before we go. What are you chasing more
That's
of?
right. What are you chasing more of? All right. Love you guys. Have a good night.
We out. Until next week.
At 9. All right. See you guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Nice job tonight.
Nice job.
Have fun. That was good.
Good. And this, and tell you guys good night.
Good night.
And